I am Gratan Puxton. I'm one of the few veterans of the First World Romani Congress. Very pleased to be among you on the 16th of May for the Resistance Day, the Roma Resistance Day. I can't call it a happy day, but it's a day when our spirits are revived by the memory of the Roma who fought so bravely in the Auschwitz concentration camp, that black time in 1944. And I think it is indeed no exaggeration to say that today we face a very dark cloud that hangs over us, partly because of the rise of a kind of new, extremely virile racism, anti-Roma racism, a lot of beatings happening around, murders, and on top of it all, now we have the corona, which is causing very great difficulties for people, especially those in the mahalas, in the quarters, in the camps all around Europe, where people are sometimes locked in and so on. And in the midst of all this, we again look to Brussels. We look with hope to the European Union, because obviously that is the power center of Europe, the funding center of Europe. And there has been recently the initiative, this was just back on Roma Nation Day, initiative for what was called briefly the European Roma Guarantee, which quite impressively has been supported by Maria Buric, General Secretary of the Council of Europe, and Helena Dalli, the Equality Commission. So again, there's that hope arises among us that something positive will come from this, because it is a tool which would give us a kind of new legal tool to fight all this kind of discrimination, and also calls upon the municipalities and the states to really come to provide all those things that have been denied us so long, the normal services for health, education, and everything that goes with that. But then here again, I turn to my own experience, an experience of 60 years now, which tells me that I have to say, and I have to give this message on this 16th of May Resistance Day, that it will be up to us if anything happens. Nothing will happen, my dear brothers and sisters, unless we ourselves are activated and mobilized. And this doesn't just mean a few of us turning up in Brussels with a banner. I believe we have to do much more imaginative types of protests and activity. And I look to our friends at the Gorky Theatre, for example, for ideas that can produce street drama, and the old idea of agro-prop. So we do something imaginative, something new which will catch the media and bring us the voice that we need to have any chance whatsoever of this new EU proposal coming to fruition among us. Because I look to my own experience, as I say, way back in the 60s, we occupied land. Well, this was in Ireland back in the 1960s. We occupied land with our caravans and with our horses. And it was by an occupation that international attention was drawn to the conditions of that time. And similarly, in the more recent years, it was because we came together in a determined militant resistance at Dale Farm that international attention, world media, was centered on our efforts and drew some results for us, some positive results, some negative results, unfortunately. Because today, we all know that a few of us holding a flag or a banner, it's going to be ignored by the media. It is regularly ignored by governments. So I'm hoping that today, I know there are many discussions going on among us, of video conferences, and I hope that out of these discussions that we will have among ourselves, that there will come a feeling of a new solidarity and a new belief in ourselves. I am hoping that next year it will be possible to hold a Jubilee Congress. It may have to be a virtual Congress that will give more legitimacy and more accountability to a new style of political leadership, which is again something completely essential to our movement and to the success of our movement, and indeed to the survival of the Roma nation, to the very survival of the Roma nation, which back in 1944 was completely destined to death. That cannot happen again, and we have to tell ourselves we must not let it happen again. That very briefly is my message to you today. I am encouraged by the initiatives being supported by Romeo France and Livia Jaroka in the European Parliament. We hope they will go forward, but they will not go forward alone and without mass mobilization and pressure from us all. So think about it all, discuss together, come to conclusions and decisions.
Could you think something where or what would be necessary for us to know, to prepare?
We've got to bear in mind that at the First World Romani Congress, some very important decisions were taken, but we had a blank piece of paper. So we could produce the new flag, we could produce Roma Nation Day. And this is great, and we look back at it with inspiration. But today, with the new technology, we can do something much more than was achieved at the First World Romani Congress. The Jubilee Congress will have the possibility, if technology is properly utilized, to have electronic elections so that those new representatives will have a true mandate behind them and a legitimacy which will be undeniable and must be recognized by the international authorities, by the EU itself, and by national governments, because it will show our solidarity and it will show that we have a new legitimacy and an accountability, which of course is essential to our people on all levels, that those who have, I'm sorry to say, in the last 20 years wanted to represent us, but have had no real recognizable backing, no mandate from the people. I constantly say the legitimacy does not come from any, what, if you like to say, Gajikano institutions. The legitimacy comes from our own people, and technology will make this possible. Indeed, the democratic transition, which started work about 6 years ago, has been building up the possibility of a voting system that could give us that democracy that is required to mobilize and to believe in and to trust a new kind of representation, a collective political representation.
So you told us that it's important that the democracy that we need have to be transparent. This is something what wasn't maybe. We tried to fix an international conference for the 26th of May. So you also are invited, and of course other people also, activists, institutions, but also politicians. The campaign called themselves Act for Roma Lives. What would you wish from this conference for us?
I suppose we all know what the situation is. The situation is dire. There is a crisis. We all know what needs to be done. What has to be decided is what can be done. What can we do together? And these decisions, I hope, will begin to be made at that next conference. I think some very important decisions could be made there. Amongst, as you say, the younger generation, I think there are a lot of young people who do want to see an effective movement get off the ground now, because it's got to happen now, or it might even be too late. I don't want to speak in very black terms, but if the right wing sees that we are just a pushover, that if 20 people, as we've just seen in Romania, can be handcuffed on the ground and beaten by special forces, and if a girl can just be shot and there is no recount to it in Greece, all these outrages if they are allowed to go unchecked and unopposed, then we are in a sense doomed. Although I would say, as opposed to that view, that the Roma nation, the Roma people, the traveling people, if you like, are the great survivors. We will, of course, survive the coronavirus. We will survive everything, but let us survive with our self-respect and with the respect of the other nations still intact, and not be pushed again so far down as we were in the 1930s to be the target of extermination. And the target, I would say today, in a kind of, I feel very resentful about this, that we are seen almost as a social problem and have very little collective recognition as a Roma nation, as a Sinti nation, I would say too. This is what we need to have for our own feeling to be able to have our lives fulfilled. We need this, and it is our right to have it. In a sense, every people, including the Roma people and the Sinti people, have a sovereignty somewhere buried within their rights. And this sovereignty has again to be dug up, if you like, and exposed and shown, and we have to get behind it. We have sovereign rights. We have collective rights. We have rights to recognition. I have seen for 50 or 60 years where people have gone begging, please like us. But it's not about please like it. It is about saying we are here, we are equal citizens, and we have equal rights. And we have indeed, on top of that, strong collective rights as one of the major nationalities within the European family. 12 million people, that's probably larger than at least half a dozen of the territorial nations within Europe. Those rights must come to be claimed, and only we can claim them.
We wish you all the best. Stay healed. Bud Bachta Sastipe. Thank you for your fight, and let's fight, even if we know it will be harder than it was. Take care, and all the best.
Thank you, and I wish everybody the same. I am 81 years old now, and I will do all I can to my last dying breath to see fulfillment. But the torch is to be handed on now, especially today, on the 16th of May, Roma Resistance Day. I want to feel that I'm passing on the torch to run forward. The others must take it. The living fire must be carried forward. Ovensaste.
Ovsasto.
Eventument back to le. Hasta blessa. Upre Roma. Upre Roma.
Upre Roma. All the best.